Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to Live with Letdown. Today's episode is on debunking recording studio myths. Okay. So this one's going to be a good one. John, get us started.
All right, guys. So the first one is that we can fix a performance. So to an extent, we can. You know, if a vocalist comes in and they have a performance, we can slap on auto-tune, we can correct them, but it's not going to be the best. So come prepared.
Yes.
I have to be so serious in that. And guitarists, we can loop you, we can
We could plug you in.
yeah. We can retake you. Just you have to know how to play. So can we fix a performance? I disagree. No, we can't.
I say we can. Now, with that being said, I agree with John. There's a lot of things that have to be done. We have to edit you heavily. There's going to be a lot of auto-tune if you're a singer. For a guitarist, we can go note by note. We can go phrase by phrase. However, the end product will sound very heavily edited and processed. Now, the thing where I disagree with John is that in today's music, that's harder how everything sounds because everyone's using MIDI synths and everyone's doing editing. So, can you fix a take? Yes. Do we want to fix it?
if you want to sound that way live, that's completely on you, though.
Yeah.
So live and recording are two separate things. So the way you sound on record is going to be completely different than how you sound live. So think about your favorite artist. Like, how do they sound on record and how do they sound live?
Yeah, they probably sound close to what they did on the recording. That just goes to prove that when we talk about being prepared and knowing your stuff, practicing till you can play with your eyes closed, that is a very important aspect of coming to the studio. Like, you have to be ready. I mean, we've been doing this a very long time, so we've seen a lot of takes. And sometimes the take is the only take you're going to get. So it's what you have to work with. Now, I will say, if you're going to come to the studio and you're not that good at your instrument, well, own it. Not every band is perfect. Own your sound. If you're a sloppy band, be a sloppy band. Own it. It'll translate and it will actually resonate with an audience, So you know who you are as a band, practice as much as you can. Our job ultimately in the studio is to make sure that you sound the best that you can. And if that involves editing, a lot of editing, sometimes we got to do it. So I say, can you make a take sound good? I say yes. What do you say, John?
I say nay. I say nay.
Yeah. All right. So myth number 1. What's myth number 2, John?
Expensive gear is always better.
Oh, my.
So as a drummer, it's a hit or miss.
I think we live in a day and age right now, John, where, man, that line is starting to get blurred because technology is so good. The plugins you can buy, the VSTs, the synth, they just sound so good. Superior Drummer, Get Good Drums, like all those drum VSTs, like they sound really, really, really good.
I've heard very inexpensive drums like PDP. I've heard Walmart drum kits. Yeah. There was a Walmart drum kit that was recently put on YouTube and they mic'd it up, new heads and everything.
Yeah.
So does it always mean expensive is better? No, I disagree.
Yeah.
So you can polish your sound by taking care of what you have. So if you're a guitarist, you can change your strings. If you're a bassist, same thing. If you're a drummer, change top and bottom heads, tune them correctly.
Yeah.
So tune them. Yeah. That doesn't mean just crank them up, hope for the best.
I mean, most bands, when they're starting out too, you got to work with what you got. So it's not really a big deal because there's so many good brands now that just offer quality sound, especially for the recording aspect, man. The Scarlett, all those audio interfaces, man, they sound amazing. You can make a hit record on $100 audio interface if you have the right synths, if you have the right sounds. But ultimately it comes down, did you write a good song that people want to hear? Like, it's simple,
And also there's things that are within budget that you can get the same results with, as opposed to getting something more expensive.
Yes.
So, I mean, of course, consider your budget, consider what
Yeah.
you can afford as a band. Look into your options.
Yeah.
So, there's a plethora of resources that are out there. So,
Yes.
find what's with your budget and within your goal.
Yeah. And I would say now the one thing that in my journey, being a musician, working in a studio, the one thing that does matter though, especially if you're gonna record yourself, I would say invest in a good mic. Now you can get a Shure SM58, SM57 for $100, and you can make amazing music with those mics. But you'll start noticing that when you're able to upgrade, I do think in the mic category, you do hear a noticeable upgrade. You'll hear a brighter sheen. You'll hear clarity. You won't hear such a muffled sound when you start moving up in the microphone aspect. So that's one thing that I always tell everybody, that if you can, if you own like a personal studio, a little home studio, a microphone will probably be the one thing that you could save up to upgrade, because with a good microphone, you can record everything. You can record your vocals, you can record guitars, acoustics, drums. Man, you can make drums with one mic sound badass. But it has to be a good microphone. And then I think after that would probably be the preamps. But now I'm getting into like the studio stuff. I think that one's like in terms of like it being debunked, that'd be like yes and no for me. What do you think, John?
I would say no.
No. Okay. Yeah.
No. You can make what you have sound,
Yeah.
badass. Take care of it.
Yeah.
Change it.
If it's a good song, it's a good song, and it'll resonate with
Yeah.
your audience. So you don't really have to buy the most expensive out there. For sure, you don't have to buy the expensive. But I do think, I'm just speaking from experience, I think it does help to upgrade every now and then, though. Because you will hear those noticeable differences. But is it enough to force you to upgrade? I don't think it is.
But if you take care of what you have
Yeah.
at the moment, and you consistently polish your sound and you take pride in what you do, it's gonna translate. So if
Okay.
you upgrade, it's gonna sound even better.
Oh,
So
yeah. I agree. Yeah.
if you can get the sound that you need with the situation that you have,
Yeah. Roll with it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. There are no rules anymore, guys. And that's one thing that we've learned running a studio in today's climate. There are no rules. We get bands that come in that recorded on a little Scarlett, and it's full production, and it sounds amazing. You know, we often get hired to mix and master, and I'm amazed at how badass these home studios are sounding. So yeah, there's no rules anymore, man. I would say though, just I'm coming back to try to invest in one good mic. If you have the budget, but if not, you're good to go.
that reminds me of an album, Oceana. So it's an old 2008 emo post-hardcore album, but the producer did it with 5 SM58s.
58s or 57s?
58s.
58s. Wow.
Yeah, the entire thing. So drums, guitars, vocals. It's called The Tide.
Yeah.
One of the most influential albums that I could remember, at least for me when I was growing up. So he didn't have the best, but he knew what he was doing and he made it work. So
Make it work. Yeah, use what you got and make it work. You can write a hit. You can write a song that resonates with people. Just make it work. All right, so That one's debunked. You don't need expensive. Nope. All right, next one, John.
The recording process is always a party.
Are we talking about letdown or we're talking?
So if you're going to record, unless you're recording, you're going to be bored off your ass. That's it.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah.
So if you're going to come and have a party, you're going to be let down.
Yes. John's right. Like, unless now, this one's hard, man, because personally, I could speak for John too. Like, there's no better place than being in the studio, man. I love this. Like, this is cool.
For us, it's different.
Yes.
For us.
Yes.
So yes, let me rephrase that. If you're a musician and you're coming along for the recording process, it's boring.
Yes.
Because you're going to be sitting there. You're just going to be like, when's my turn?
Yeah.
You're going to be like,
if it's not your day to track, it often gets it can get boring because you're not gonna, that day you're not contributing anything. You know, we're focused on whatever element of the song is going down. So whether it be drums, guitar, bass, singer. Usually the other band members are just there hanging out, doing nothing. What that can
doom
lead,
scrolling.
yeah. But what that can lead to though is often a little excess drinking or having a little too much fun. And that can impose some problems into the recording environment. And I think one of the biggest myths is that, oh, I got to get a couple in me to loosen up. And no, in my experience, that just makes you play worse. You know, so oftentimes we have a rule here, like whoever's tracking has to stay focused, has to stay in the right mindset. So that, you know, and that does mean, you know, staying sober and just, you know, being in the moment because again, not everyone's tracking. So whoever's tracking that day really has to bring their A game. So what else would you say to that, John?
Well, what I would suggest in that is if you're really serious about the music, you'll take the recording process as a learning experience. So if you maybe I'm coming from an older perspective, but I remember when my band would practice, we couldn't really understand what was happening.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
In the practice session.
It's too loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the garage, everyone's blasting.
And we're having fun. We're trying to be loud as shit. We're trying to have fun. Yeah. Until we actually tracked and recorded, we understood, oh, that's what you're playing.
Yeah.
So it's more of a learning lesson to what are we doing, where are we going, and what are we trying to accomplish. If you happen to come to a recording session and you're not the one tracking, really pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And what can you contribute to make the song or the album the best that you can.
Yeah. I often tell all the man's like, this is work. You know, you're paying for this experience. You're paying for your album to come out good. You have to show up ready. You have to show up competent. You have to show up with your A game. This is not an environment to waste time, like we spoke in our last podcast. Like, you have to be ready. But usually during tracking and during the scheduled days that we have here, it's work. And I always tell the bands, you wouldn't want me or John all fucked up. You want us level-headed, in tune with what you're doing, because we're guiding the session. You know, we're guiding all the bands. We're guiding the person who's tracking. And I know in the movies and in on TV, like the studios, oh yeah, let's go have a blast. We're just gonna get all fucked up. That's all a myth. 100% that's a myth, man, because the bands who show up all sloppy end up with a sloppy recording. And that's 100% on them. It's not on us. So I think that myth's debunked. It's a party in terms of like you're living your dream, you're having fun. But all that other stuff that you see in the movies, the drugs and the booze, that doesn't happen. Well, it shouldn't happen. I would say debunked. So what else, John?
So the last one is that reverb and delay fix everything.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I'll be the first one to
Yeah.
admit that even with like my own music, I it sounds cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. You slap on some heavy reverb, some Billions and Billions by Valhalla. It sounds cool. But is it correct and is it sonically or is it musically correct what you should be doing? No, it's not. So singing in the shower, and I'll put out a shout out to Adam from Letters from Wolves. Thanks for putting this one out. Does singing in the shower sound better? Yeah, it does. It makes you sound better. But when you slap on some reverb on your voice, does that make the performance better? Not necessarily. So it's not going to fix your problems.
Yes.
It goes back again to the argument. Can you fix the performance? No, it's not.
I think reverb's hard, man, because it reverb and delay is hard because it depends on the genre. It depends on the player. I will admit, from someone who mixes a bunch of different genres, reverb's hard because if you put too much of it, it sort of clouds. No, it doesn't sort of. It does cloud all the. It masks all the other instruments. Now, I do understand that when the singer's not so good, the guitarist is not so good, they do have to mask their faults with a lot of. They tend to mask their faults with a lot of delay and reverb, and I get it. It's just part of being in music. Like, so I would say if you're gonna use reverb and delay, use it tastefully. Make sure that it benefits the song rather than hides your flaws, if possible. For some people, they just it hides their flaws and they like it. So I say, "Fuck it, do it." But I always tell them that if we're gonna use a ton of fucking reverb or delay, like the mix isn't gonna sound as clean as you want it to. But sometimes that's what they want. So let's rock and roll. Let's do it. So I don't know. Reverb and delay. I think when used tastefully, can really really add to your sound and create those dynamics rather than it being so sterile and dry. But that one's a hard one, man, because some people use a lot of reverb and delay, especially for vocals, because vocals, in my experience, is one of the hardest elements of a song to get right. It's the element of the song to get right. And the minute someone hears an out of tune vocal or it's not there, usually the listener's done. They turn off. So, a lot of artists, a lot of bands tend to cover that up with a lot of reverb, and sometimes it works. So I don't know. You just experiment with it. If it's your sound, use it. Roll with it. Like who cares? No, in the end, no one cares. It's what you guys want. It's what you want to sound like, and we're here to support that, facilitate that. So if you want a ton of reverb in your recording, we'll give it to you. But it does come with some give and takes. Usually reverb and delay do tend to cloud up a good mix. So, what's your experience with mixing reverb and delay, John?
So does it fix everything? No. Um, there's been times where we've had to slap it on and it made it worse. So
Yes.
just be conscious of what you're trying to accomplish and be conscious of using reverb and delay as an enhancement rather than, like Hector said, like as a masking of something imperfect. And yeah, it can cover up some imperfections, but at the end of the day, use it as a tool to help you rather
Yes.
than trying to cover up something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's not just with reverb and delay. Just just those two in isolation. It's with any effect. Use it purposefully.
Yes, purposefully. That's a good word.
Use
Purposely.
it strategically
Yes.
with purpose, and don't try to be something that you're not.
Yeah. Just because it sounds cool. Because I'll bet the first one I made, delay and reverb sound badass, man. It really does. On a guitar, there's no better feeling than ringing out an G chord with delay and reverb. It sounds so beautiful. But you have to ask yourself, does it benefit the song? Is it masking the singer? Is it masking the drums?
Is it clashing?
Is it clashing? And that's sometimes a difficult conversation for us to have with the artists in the studio, because sometimes it is. Sometimes they agree with us, sometimes they don't, but we roll with it, you know. In the end, it's about what the artist wants to represent to the listener. I think that one's a hard one to debunk, because it's so situational, and it depends so much on the song, the artist, how they play. Like, I don't know.
So going back to the original debunk, does it fix everything? No.
Oh
it
no,
doesn't.
no. It does not fix everything. I'll tell you. I'll tell you that right now. No, reverb and delay do not fix everything. But we just want to thank you guys for tuning in to our episode about debunking recording myths. John, you have anything else to say?
No, thanks for tuning into this episode. If you guys have any other myths or anything that you guys want to have us debunk, let us know in the comments below.